town.
Brilliant.
This was your 100th show.
Exactly, on this tour,
So you feel very tired now with the band?
Tight,
Yeah.
or tired. Well, you know, the band changed at Christmas. Steve Morris, the guy who was on the album, my co-writer and everything else, at Christmas we had a word and we thought it best. He stayed home and started working on writing some songs for the next record. So the chemistry wasn't, we got so far that it just wasn't working. And since then, we changed. And so now, yeah, since Christmas, I'm very happy. I think the band is getting tight now. We've still got a long way to go, but at the moment, you see, the new guitar player is working on material that's not his own.
Yeah.
Things evolve, you know.
Yeah.
So I look forward to another 3 or 4 months on the road. Well, till June, the end of June, we're working. 1 year tour.
So this is a band now, like Gillan used to be before the last reunion, or is it just backing musicians for yourself on this one?
Yeah, it's a band.
It's a band.
Yeah, it's my band, but it's a band. It's difficult to describe, really. I think everyone expects a certain category of definition, you know, like a singer and his backing group, or it's a total unit. It's halfway in between. You know, everyone has their say on everything. I mean, Brett, Leonard, Dean, it's very democratic, just like the Gillan band was in the 70s and 80s. But I guess I sort of lead the band and then we share it. What can I say? It's difficult to.
Is this your first major tour in the world after the split from Purple?
No. Well, no, not really. No. Since Purple, I've been on the road, just gradually trying to change. I started with a 7-piece, and now I've got a 3-piece. So it's evolved as confidence grows and as musicians change. You think about this and that, and I don't know. It's ever so hard to sort of be analytic about it and to actually describe what it is. It's just a natural process. You feel, you move with the, you know, the feelings. It's a question of musicians you work with, they inspire you to do a little bit of this, a little change in direction. And then, as I say, confidence grows. And I remember with Steve finding I said, get rid of the keyboards. Any keyboards on the next record. Well, not on the record, but just when we were writing the songs. And you don't even know why you say it. It's just a spark in the back of your mind. You just think, well, if I have keyboards, I tend to write the songs down. Well, if you get rid of the keyboards, you've got to go, it's just guitar, bass and drums. You've got to work a lot harder and be a lot more aggressive. And I felt more aggressive with confidence when we started working in the toolbox. So a little thing like that, just sitting home one day, you just have an idea and you think, and that can lead to the whole change of the structure of the band. You don't know why, who knows why you do these things, I don't know. It's just a combination of inspiration and experience, I guess.
And you make that turn out great.
Well, not always, no. I mean, if it doesn't turn out right, then it's not going to be a disaster, but you just have to keep plugging away until you get it right. And, you know, albums like Naked Thunder and Toolbox remind me very much of albums like Clear Air Turbines and Scarabus and stuff like that in the developing years before the previous came out. And albums like Fireball, for example, was a very important album. It was not successful, but it was vital that we did that album because that was the springboard for Machine Head, the link between Deep Purple and rock and Machine Head. And if we hadn't done Fireball, we would have done another album like Deep Purple and rock, and that would have been exactly right. We had to make that progression, and you've got to think about it. You don't always know why you're doing it, but you've got to think and try to work to get to the next stage.
So how does it feel to be? So how does it feel to be back on the road playing in these small places for small audiences compared to the mega arenas you played in Purple?
Fantastic, absolutely great for many reasons. One, 400, 500, 600 people would look stupid in Wembley Arena anyway. So let's be honest about it. Two, I don't think I'm a singer, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life living on my reputation. I want to work with contemporary musicians in contemporary music as long as I can. And I think that means that every 2 or 3 years you've got to go back to square one and start again. Not as graphically as that, but there's a certain process. Every new generation of audience comes along and they don't want the music of their parents or their older brothers. They want their own music. They want something that they can judge and you've got to relate to that. So you've got to constantly work with younger musicians and new players with new ideas and learn from them. You can teach them as well as they can teach you. So it's all a question of, that's what rock music's about. It's not just about screaming and yelling. It's the writing, the songs, the craft, the discipline. It's just a world of excitement to me. It's never ending. And you learn as you go along. Every day is a new experience. But I love being in a bus on the road with the band, the crew, and the equipment, with the mic stand up my ass every day. That's great.
Yeah, but you've been doing this for a long time now. What drives you to make new albums and go on tour year after year?
Well, it's what I do. I'm a fan, really. I remember when I was a kid, I used to stand there watching Cliff Bennett and the Rebel Rousers in the outdoors, screaming "Lord Touch" and the Savages. And I was just standing there in front of the stage going, "My God, this is great." And I used to stand to this side of the stage, and I used to stand this side of the stage, but I always figured the best place was right in the middle. And I thought the only place I can get nearer to being in the band is by actually being in the band. And if I'm in the band, I want to be the singer. I want to be standing right there where I can hear the drums thundering and the band cranking away. That feeling is just incredible. And in those years in the 60s, before we started writing, before the Beatles, before Bob Dylan, and everything else, all we did was copy other people. And so we used to copy, we used to sing blues. We had a pretty good understanding of the blues. As you can see from a lot of the guitar players and musicians that came out of England in those days, it was very much of a cult thing. And we understand the blues more than any white American did. Much more. They couldn't relate to it at all. White and black were totally separated in America. And what they call rhythm and blues is totally different to what we understand as rhythm and blues. We understand rhythm and blues being Chuck Berry and stuff like that. They understand rhythm and blues being black music. Whatever it is. So the rhythm and blues incorporated what we call soul and tango and everything else. It was all rhythm and blues to white Americans. And so we have a good understanding of that, the soul and the feeling of it. And there's something compatible with our desire to just break out of that mold. If you look at English singers and musicians in the 60s, I mean, English singers in the 60s were hilarious. I mean, they were just, it's like, through the time straight. It was like so really frustrating, you know. And all the stuff that was good was underground. It wasn't allowed on TV or anything like that. It was just too dangerous for the establishment, you know. And that was what gave birth to the whole bursting through of these ideas. And I think that having got that under your belt first, the enjoyment of actually the music, actually learning the craft, if you like, having to compete. With episode 6, we did a tour with Dusty Springfield. We were opening, we did 4 minutes to open the first half and 7 minutes to open the second half. And then we did a medley of songs in 7 minutes in the second half. And if we played more than 20 seconds over or under, we would find our whole night's fee. And if we were more than 30 seconds over or under, we were going to get thrown off the tour. And we were paid £50 a night, I think, or something like that. And for that we had to provide our accommodation, whatever. And it was unbelievable, the discipline, the sense of timing, what you had to do. And the things I learned on that tour, I'll never forget, ever. And it's a craft first, and you get driven by it. It's like, I'm a keen carpenter, I make all my own furniture at home. And to learn to use your tools and everything else, you can't make anything until you understand how to do it. If you're going to be a painter, you have to learn the technique first. If you want to be a guitar player, you've got to study. Before you can express yourself, you have to learn the technique. And that's why I never stop, because it's now easy, to a certain extent, to express yourself. Because we've got the technique, we spent a long time learning it. And now we're having a ball. We're just having a great time. We can concentrate on all the fun things. It's not a driving force, it's just easy. It's just so easy. It's fun.
You worked with Roger Glover on the album Accidentally on Purpose. Do you have any kind of working relationship with him still?
Yeah, we send dirty faxes to each other. Fax machine's a wonderful thing. We send jokes and abuse and happy birthday wishes, and well, I know what his kids are doing, and he knows what my family's doing, and we keep in touch pretty well. And, I guess we're certainly going to make another record together, maybe in 5 or 10 years' time. Who knows? Maybe next year, I don't know. Whenever he's ready, whenever I'm ready. It's a comfortable relationship. We've known each other for, I don't know, it must be 25, 26 years, 24, 25. I've been singing for 30 years, this August. So from August this year till August next year will be my 30th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Singing for money.
Talking about singing, a lot of the stuff you've been doing with Purple and on your own is very demanding for the voice. How do you keep your voice intact after so many years?
Well, it's natural. I think that was, going back to what I was saying earlier, you spend a lot of time learning what to do. You don't just go out and do it. It takes 6 or 7 years just to figure what you can do and what you can't do, what comes easy and how far you can reach. Yeah, I mean, I tell people now we do, they look at the tour show and I'm like, come on, you're doing 7 shows without a night off. It's not really, we used to do 7 shows in one night. Really. 7 shows in one night. In the clubs in Germany, you do 45 minutes on, 15 minutes on, or 45 minutes on, 15 minutes on, 45 on, 15 minutes on. In Beirut, we used to do all night. We used to work all afternoon, and we used to go to another place and do matinees, do children's shows in the afternoon. Unbelievable. So it's not difficult. This is really easy. I find it really easy. I mean, not difficult at all.
A lot of singers that leave their bands or want to try to make solo efforts, they tend to make a completely different music from what they played before. But when you formed Gillan first time and now the second time doing solo stuff, it sounds pretty much the same music as Deep Purple, going to the hard rock scene. Is that the music that you feel most comfortable with?
Well, I like rock music. I like music that sometimes I get introverted. It depends on the mood you're in. The last 2 records I've made, Naked Thunder and Toolbox, one has been very introvert and quite contemplative, and the other one's been quite aggressive. And for me, rock is an attitude, it's a state of mind, it's not just a fashion. And I think my biggest influence these days are the musicians I work with.
That's good.
So whatever they want to do, I tend to go along with that.
Well, can you compare what's the difference between your own audience, the Gillan fans that come to see you, or the Purple fans? Is there any difference? Or
they kind of merge together really after a while. There's not. It's very hard to judge. Very hard to judge. I guess the Purple fans that come along are the ones that like what I'm doing. I I don't think it's easy for me to analyse that. I talk to loads of fans after the shows normally, but I never know. They're both, they've got the Deep Purple record, they've got the Gillan record, and everything else.
You don't feel any pressure to play Purple tunes just because people expect to hear them?
No, I think if I was in the audience, I always consider myself to be a rock fan. If I was in the audience, I would like to hear some Deep Purple songs. I've got to consider now which ones to do, because my priority is getting things moving again in a new situation, in a new band. So right now we're promoting the Toolbox album, and I think the next tour will be obviously the next album that we're working on. And it depends on balance. Don't forget now I've got a 3-piece band, there's no keyboards or anything else, so I've got to choose which songs are going to sound okay without keyboards, which songs are going to be compatible with the songs we're doing in the show. Now, it's okay to use Smoke on the Water. That's got a life and a spirit of its own. You could play that with a one-piece band. You could play that with an acoustic guitar. I think it would work okay. Black Knight fits in pretty well. But I had to choose something a little more different because I've been saying to Purple for years, why didn't they change their show? There were hundreds and hundreds of songs, well not hundreds, but tens and tens of songs that they could have done. But always it was the same thing, with Highway Star and Strange Carnival, Wonderful Circuit. And Child in Time, I got sick to death of it, it's just like insisting on doing it. And that's a difficult song. Smoke on the Water has a life of its own. It's a narrative. Lyrically, it's something that happened. It's a real story. Child in Time is a spiritual thing. It's completely different, from a different age. And it was heartbreaking to have to do that every single night. When you're searching for the meaning, it's so elusive. I didn't even know what it was about after a while. I completely forgot. What the hell is this song for? Why are we doing it? And but they were terrified of not doing it. And I think you have to put things to one side.
Play what you feel.
Well, you have to play what you feel good, otherwise the audience is going to sense it. I remember with Purple back in '72, we had just finished the German tour, which was really successful. Or no, '71. Really, really successful. They were going berserk. The audience was going crazy. And we were booked back in to do some festivals. And we did this big festival in Frankfurt or somewhere like that. And we went out and we did the same show that we had done on the whole German tour. Nothing changed, nothing different. And I was looking at it and thinking, my God, Richie's playing the same notes here, the same solos. There's all the improvisation's gone. He's just going through the motions now. And John's going through the motions. The same. Give me a break, do something. You must know something else. And the audience are not stupid. It's like, and it was a disaster, an absolute disaster. So you've got to have commitment in what you're doing. You've got to believe in it totally. Otherwise people don't see through it. I know what I watch it and hear it out there. And rock music it's not cabaret. You're not just singing a series of hit songs. It's not about that at all. Completely the opposite.
So what made you think it was going to be any change the second time around with Purple?
Because I thought that after all those years that maybe we'd learned something. Everyone had stayed in music. It wasn't as if somebody had stopped and become a businessman or a plumber or something like that. Everyone had been in bands and they carried on. And I thought that maybe we could have put the difficulties to one side. Maybe we'd matured a bit and could have talked about things, problems and everything else. So the driving forces and the juices could have been wetted again. And so we eased into it gently. And Perfect Strangers was pretty good. I thought that was pretty good. It worked pretty well. And it's one of those albums that had a spirit from the beginning to the end. There's lots of albums that have got good songs on, but they don't have that spirit. If you look at In Rock, Fireball, Machine Head, and Made in Japan, they've all got spirit. Who do we think we are? There's some great songs on it, but it doesn't have the spirit throughout it. Perfect Strangers has the spirit. House of Blue Light, it's got some good songs, but it doesn't have the spirit.
So obviously that was the last one with published. Since we're talking about the songs that you do play or don't play live, you don't do any songs from the first Gillan period?
No. Well, it's very difficult to. If I did songs from all the songs I wanted to do, I'd be on stage about 6 or 7 hours every night. I think I should probably make a gesture, but those songs are even more difficult because with Purple, you've got a balance between the keyboards and the guitar, and the songs themselves have got a strength. I'm not saying they're as good as they are with Purple as we do them now, but at least I try and choose the ones where there's some vocal validity. With the Gillan band in those days, the two most dominant features in the band were by far and away the strongest force throughout the whole of the Gillan band period was Colin Kearns. As a driving force, as a writer and a player and everything else. Completely dominated the guitar players, I think, in the band. Bernie Tourné was fantastic, but didn't really contribute a hell of a lot in the writing sense. And I think Colin was the strength of that band. And his keyboards were far more generic, if you like, to the band than John's were. John Lord is part of the chemistry of Purple. John and Richie are inseparable, you know. It's a sound of a guitar, and that's what's so wrong now for me with the band. Like Richie's become so dominant and John's been closed out. But those two have to be equal in the band. Whereas with the Gillan band, Colin was such a driving force, such a dominant force that I think a lot of those things, I look at them and it would be kind of, they wouldn't work quite so well without keyboards. And he played piano as well. Very typical Born to Kill and No Laughing in Heaven, and I mean a lot of the things I would like to do in the future, maybe. I don't feel as suitable right now.
Yeah. But that's why you didn't recruit him this time.
Recruit Colin? Colin's wife died 2 Christmases ago, and since then he's pretty much worked at home. He's just working in his studio, looking after his children. And, she had a very sudden cancer and just died quickly. So he's hardly been outdoors since then, working on film music and TV jingles just to earn some money.
Okay, we'll leave the past behind and ask you something about the future. Will the same band be on the next album?
Yeah. I hope so. I think so. We're getting pretty close to it now. We've got some good plans underway. We're going to be working through until June, the end of June, and then we're having about 3 weeks break, and then we start on the next album. We're going to spend the whole of the second half of this year. I think we're ready now. I think we've got the band knocked into good shape, and I think we stopped messing around. At the moment we're doing, you know, toolbox stuff and everything else, but I think we're ready now for an album which involves Dean, hopefully, and that we're going to be, yeah, just ready to do something. I figure I've done enough now to get the band together, and now we can hand it over to businessmen, the marketing people, the producers, and say, okay, now get us a hit record now. So I'm ready for that now.
Okay. That's about it for me.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please sign the book.
Sure. Okay.
A photo album.
Okay.
Thank you for a great show.
Cheers, then.
One of the most exciting versions I've
Yeah.
ever heard.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the band's cooking now. It means it, you know. Yeah, it's not...
We have a radio station here in this house, in this very building.
Really?
Yeah, so it's amazing to go here on Monday and say we have real classic Smoke on the Water here live.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, then. Yeah, sure.
The single you did a few years ago called So Happy.
Yeah.
You can tell me the story behind it.
Okay, you want... Okay. Here's the whole truth. Bernie Marsden wrote the song. He lives down the road from me. We were having a couple of beers, and we've got this great song. He said, I can't get anybody to sing it. So we went back to his house, he played me the demo that he made, and I said, this is great. I want to sing this song. So I took the tape, the demo, I sent it to my office. I said, listen, play it in the office, get some opinions, see what you think. I'd like to record this song. All of my office, they said, the song was great, really like the song. I said, okay, now send it to Virgin Records. Let them listen to it, play it around the office and everything else. So they sent it, and within 2 or 3 days, they made a phone call to my office and said, oh yeah, Ian should record this song, it's fantastic, really great song. So we booked the studio time, we booked the musicians, and the day before I went into the studio, Phil Banfield, my manager, had a phone call from Virgin and said, oh, you can't record this song, we're not going to release it if you record it. What's the problem? No, just nothing. We don't like it anymore. Oh, well, last week you thought it was fantastic. Now you don't like it. Why? No, we just don't. I think it's a good idea. Well, we're going to do it anyway. So you better release it. Because you've agreed to it. So we went and we recorded it. And as you know, it was not promoted or anything. They just killed it stone dead. And suddenly it all clicked into place. The managing director is South African. So, politics. Sick, isn't it? Yeah. Isn't that sick?
Who will doing the co-writing of the next album? Steve after the band.
Steve's already sent me a tape with 9 songs on it. Yeah, he came round to my house the other day. His daughter is a little bit older than my daughter, and she's finished with her bicycle, so he's left his bicycle at my house for my daughter, together with some songs. Yeah, he's working hard on some new ideas. We've already got loads of songs as well. We've got hundreds of songs.
How did the Japanese tour turn out?
Fantastic. Just fantastic. And the Australian tour was great too.
How many shows did you do?
8 or 10. About 14 in Australia. I can't remember. 7 to 14. Sorry. Yeah, thanks. How we doing, Al?
Time to go, mate.
Okay.
There's hardly been any promotion, both on the album and the tour. There was no single. Why so?
Absolutely.
No comment?
What can I say? We'll fix that. It'll be changed next record.
Will we be doing will we be doing the next album with the same record company?
We're going to kick some serious ass the next few weeks, so
Hope so.
we'll see. Wow.
Beautiful man.
Some years ago. Nice trousers, Rich.
Look at Roger's tie.
Oh, great. Nice one. Oh, this is wonderful stuff. Yeah, these are pretty good. Nice one. Okay.
Excellent music.
I gotta go, I think then. Oh, sorry. There you go. Here?
Sure.
Sure.